Our guests today are Dave Dolan and Michael Tubiolo from the School District of Palm Beach County. Dave is the Chief of Facilities Management and Michael is the Director of Facilities Construction. And together they're responsible for over 180 schools located throughout the county. Dave's background spans engineering, architecture, and an MBA, a self-proclaimed jack of all trades, which helps him oversee everything from maintenance crews to new school construction. Michael spent a decade designing schools as an architect and then switched to the owner side to ensure these projects truly met the community's needs. They'll talk about their passion for creating top-notch learning environments and how to manage a portfolio this large and why they find this work so rewarding. Dave, Michael, thanks so much for joining us today. Really excited to have this conversation with you guys and let you guys tell your asset management stories. So let's just start a little bit with your personal journeys. I'm always fascinated, and I think it's great to share how people end up where they are in their current positions in facility and asset management. So Dave, why don't you go first and just tell us how you ended up where you are, and then Michael, when Dave wraps up, then we'll throw it over to you.
Okay. I am as Bill is familiar, I am the Chief of Facilities Management for the School District of Palm Beach County, and I oversee several departments. Maintenance and construction are two of my biggest ones. My background is I have degrees in engineering and architecture from Lehigh University and an MBA. So what it really comes down to is I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with my life and decided to be a jack of all trades, master of none. So hence why I get to oversee both the construction department with Michael as well as our maintenance department. And that's just kind of been how my career evolved.
Excellent. And where were you before the school district? If you don't mind me asking.
For a long time, I worked for Palm Beach County government,
Nice.
doing a lot of their capital improvements program. And then as it turns out, where did I steal Michael from? Palm Beach County government capital improvements program. So
you guys have worked together for a while now in a couple of different organizations.
We actually missed paths.
Oh, really?
When I left, he came in and then he worked there for a couple of years and I stole him back over here.
Nice.
Some of our best friends are best friends of each other.
Yes.
So we somehow missed each other's path until we started working
That's right.
together. But
That's
it all works.
That's funny. So you let the county train Michael, and then when he was really ready to go, you pulled him over.
Scooped him up, right.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. And Michael, how about you? Like, what's your background? What's your career path that's led you here today?
Sure. So Michael Tubiolo. So I'm the Director of Facilities Construction currently for the school district. So I got an architecture degree from Florida Atlantic down in Boca. So I'm a local product here.
Nice.
Then I got my architecture license, and I spent the first 10 years of my career designing educational facilities and other government buildings as an architect. Then 2008 came around and the market took a turn, and I took my first role as in what we call an owner's rep, right? Working directly for the owner side of it. And in that time it was for a county government in Texas. And since then I've spent the last 17 years as an owner's rep for different government entities. And now I'm at the school district and I love it here. So.
Oh, that's awesome. So you did the consulting thing for the early part of your career and then moved over. We say to the dark side, you'd probably say you left the dark side and went to the light side, right? Just depends on the perspective, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. You know, Dave and I are both here for the same reason. And it sounds a little corny, but, we're here to make our facilities the best they can be for our students and teachers. And that's, like I said, it's truly why we do what we do. So we love what we do every day and know that we have, a little bit of an impact on the future of all the students coming up through the school district. So it's a very rewarding profession. Specifically what we're doing right now is very rewarding.
That's awesome. No, it's great. It's great to hear that from both of you guys. Cause it's sometimes when you think of schools or universities or hospitals, you think of the programmatic side of things, but to really kind of see the value of the facilities and the schools in the delivery of the program, that's awesome. And to feel that passion for what, how you're impacting the lives of the kids. That's great to hear. I love to hear that. So tell us a little bit about the school district of Palm Beach County portfolio that you guys are involved in. Dave, I think, why don't we let you take a run at that one and give some folks some context because there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. For those who aren't familiar, in the state of Florida, they do school districts differently than they do elsewhere. I was originally from New Jersey, and my town had its own school district, so it was like two high schools, two middle schools, and whatever 15 elementary schools, and that's how it seems to work in a lot of places around the country. In the state of Florida, it's a lot different. It's county-wide school districts. So in Palm Beach County, we're probably the biggest landmass, I think, in Florida, county-wise. We always say we're 2,800 square miles of acreage, and we're bigger than the state of Rhode Island. So that means that I have 182 schools, elementary, middle, high, and alternative schools. We are the 10th largest school district in the entire country. But that being said, at approximately 180,000 students, the 10th largest in the country, but we are still only the 5th largest in the state of Florida. There are four districts that are larger than us because that's how we're set up. So what it really evolves to is, being responsible for over 30 million square feet of facility to build and maintain, and ensure that they're always the best facilities for our students. It's quite a challenge, and hence why our love and need for asset management is such a critical component to everything we do around here.
Excellent.
Yeah, just to tack into that, we have a couple really unique schools that are constantly rated in the top 100 in the country.
That's awesome.
That we're an A-rated school district consistently, so we provide a really good education for our students. Something that people may not know about Palm Beach County is how economically and ethnically diverse it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have, not just a couple languages. We have a dozen different languages spoken by our students. We have the richest of the rich, from Jupiter Island and Palm Beach to some very, very impoverished cities that, have some challenges themselves. So we have a very diverse group of students, and I think that's what makes us so great, is having that diversity in our system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Dave, you as you said, you came from the north, and as you know, I'm originally from a little further north than you even. But one of the things that for folks that are from the north versus folks from the south in schools is not only do you have 180 schools, but you have 2,000 buildings, right? Up north, a big high school is one big Franken building that was built over 20 years with multiple additions. Now, when you go down to Palm Beach, one school site could have 15 or 20 buildings, again, built over time to evolve to the community. But how is that? I mean, how do you see that as, sort of that a unique issue that you guys have to deal with, many smaller buildings versus the one bigger building?
Right. Well, the climate certainly makes a difference. There's no question
absolutely
about it. Right. We
you can walk outside in the middle of winter to go from one building to the next. Yeah.
Pretty much all year long. So other than rain, we do have a lot of covered walkways. Mm-hmm. But by and large, that had been the premise of design for a lot of years, was multiple buildings, spread it out, and at the time, we were expansive. We had plenty of land. Now, not so much, but that's probably one of the biggest differences. Go ahead, Michael. I'm sure you have thoughts on it.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. Our climate is very unique in the fact that, the dead of winter, it's, still in the 60s, 70s, and 80s sometimes. So we take full advantage of that in our designs of our facilities, and have outdoor classrooms and outdoor spaces that we use year round. So that it is unique to some areas of the country.
One of the things we do have in Florida that the rest of the country does not quite recognize, because we are so hot, so humid all year long, our air conditioning designs are focused a lot more on outdoor air recycling. We have a requirement for three cycles every hour. We bring in a lot of outdoor fresh air.
Right.
Guess what that turned out to be really helpful is in 2020 when COVID came around and everybody said, oh my gosh, you have to redesign your air conditioning systems because you lock everything down when it's cold. Not us. It's always open. It's always free flowing. So it really did help us circulation in a lot of the fears that were going on early on during the COVID period.
And the flip side of that is we're bringing 90% humidity air into our buildings too.
Yeah, so warm air that then has to be conditioned, right? So
One of my other departments that I oversee is our environmental and conservation services department, and they spend a lot of time on mold remediation and critters and all that stuff because we are a little bit more open than most of the rest of the country.
Right. Yeah, no, it is. It's a bit of a double-edged sword, right? In certain cases, air quality, things like that, there's an upside, but on the energy and the humidification, or dehumidification, not humidification. No, that's a north thing. That's not a south thing. Yeah. Dehumidification definitely adds some things on the other side. So no, that's great, guys. Thanks for kind of giving folks some insight into your portfolio. So turning back to just facility management, asset management, what do you see as the top three challenges that the school district of Palm Beach County is facing, has faced in the recent past and is facing now? And Michael, why don't you start with that, and then Dave, you can chime in.
I guess to start, I want to take us back when we first started, and Dave and I had a plan of how to. We were in the middle of a referendum from 2016 and halfway through that, working it out. And we knew that we were going to need some additional funds to go forward. The first referendum was all about, deferred maintenance and catching up on the maintenance that had been the budget shortfalls that we had in the past, trying to catch it up and fix stuff that had been left behind. And we knew we were planning on doing more of a planned maintenance approach in the future. So we wanted to do FCA study to get that data so we can go to the public and have them informed when they went to vote. Then it was presented to us that the rules had changed and we had to have that data ready for the 2024 election, had to go to a major election for voters. It couldn't happen in the odd years. So that's when we started scrambling and got in touch with you, Bill, and said, oh, what do we do? Because the plan was always to do a full-blown FCA assessment. And when you're talking about 182 campuses across what we just talked about, that's 12 to 15 to 18 months to do all that work. So we worked together, the three of us, as you remember, and said, okay, what can we do? So we did a tabletop exercise, pulling together what we projected to be the needs of the district. We used that to go to the voters with. Before we even made it to the voters, though, we had to go through a state audit committee, OPAGA, what they call, and they audit all of the district's processes to make sure that we're fiscally responsible with our money. And they make recommendations to the public of how we operate. So there was a lot of effort that went into that, and not a small part, but a big part of that backup data was that tabletop exercise that we did to show, hey, we do have a need. We're not just asking for money. We still have a need for money and we have a lot of needs across the district to spend this money on. And when we do get the money, we will be fiscally responsible for spending it. So we're still kind of, as you know, Bill, we're in the middle of that next assessment. We're actually going back and reassessing the schools in person and verifying that tabletop data. But that tabletop exercise is really critical in order to get this passed by the voters.
And a little personal side comment for that was, many of you watching this will probably, you might actually recognize this at some point during your career when you realize your back is up against the wall and somehow some stroke of lightning happens and all the dials fall into place. I was so fortunate, that story that Michael told about needing to get the referendum on the 24 ballot. I went to a local educational planners conference here. It's called FEFPA in Florida. And in July of 23, and I had just been told, you have to get this thing done. And I was so fortunate because I literally went to the conference and I went in this one session that was talking about asset management. And some guy was up there and he had a funny accent, but it really made a lot of sense. And after the session was over, I went over and talked to him and I told him what I was going through and the challenge that I only had a handful of months, 6-7 months or so, to try to get all this data together. And he brought me over and showed me some of what he does and the software that they use and the systems that they've employed in the past. And with a little help from a cooperative, I guess, we were able to immediately hire Roth, and as Michael says, the rest is history, because we got the numbers done, the tabletop exercise, and now we're on our way to a well-informed public trust on this referendum. So
yeah. No, that's great. Thanks, guys, for sharing. And you're right, David. It was like it literally was just the right place at the right time. And so sometimes you got to be lucky to be good, right, as they say. So and I'm glad that we were able to help get the referendum passed. And now we're into the perspective of, okay, let's get the right details to invest the money wisely. And I guess this is the for some districts. Because a lot of states don't allow the districts to go out to the market. Can you just, for those that aren't familiar with that, can you just talk about that process? Michael, you talked about the audit side of it, but if you could just talk a little bit about that process, because I don't think every state allows their school districts to do a sales tax referendum.
Yeah, and different states do it differently. Some have specific program or projects that you for new construction, and you do bonds. To sell bonds to be able to pay for those. We typically borrow for our large new schools and modernizations, but for our maintenance, we do sales tax referendum. So we are limited on how much we can charge. The 2016 referendum we did by voters approved. We went in it with the cities and the county. So we did a full penny sales tax, which paid for, we got half of it, and the rest of it was distributed to the cities and the counties. This time around, they chose not to go after the referendum to continue it, but the school district chose to go on our own and continue that. So we get a half penny sales tax over the duration, and it's capped. So once we reach a certain dollar value, then that sales tax is capped. And the voters, review it, approve it, and it kind of makes sense so that, as they buy whatever they buy, half penny that goes to the school.
Yeah.
To supplement the state funding for what we get.
That was a big deal for us. The 2016 referendum, which was deferred maintenance, we had a lot of years without having any money. We didn't have any money from the state. We didn't have any money from the taxpayers, and our facilities suffered for it. So they had gotten to a degrading point where we really needed to make a call like this. And we got that 2016 referendum passed by the voters because they saw that it was going to enhance their community. The success of that 2016 referendum paved the way for our 24 referendum to pass, because we did what we said. We promised we were going to do certain things and we met all those expectations. We continue to meet those expectations. So that was a huge turn for us.
That's great.
We do borrow. It's called a certificate of paper. And our district relies less on the state government and the federal government for facilities related services than most places around the country.
Interesting. Well, I guess 2016 you built up the trust by, as you say, doing what you said. So it was able to pass again in 24, which is excellent. I know there's some other districts that put initiatives forward in Florida and outside of Florida that didn't pass. So I think you guys, by doing what you said you could the first time and building up that trust, I'm sure it was an easier sell. It's never a super easy sell, right? From taxes are never an easy sell, but hopefully it was easier as a result of having done what you said you were going to do. Michael, any other challenges that you see sort of kind of now and going forward?
Yeah, we have several challenges. One I can think of off the top of my head is that the volume of data that we're collecting, with the size of district that we have, all these different facilities and all the FCA assessment that we're doing, there's just a ton of data. and how to manage that data. So we've made some assumptions and worked towards those, and we constantly reevaluate those assumptions. And sometimes we're wrong. We when we originally started, we looked at the portables as a unique building. Each individual portable was a building that we're going to assess. And we went through 2 pilot schools, and then we decided, hey, maybe this effort isn't worthwhile. Maybe we can look at the portables more globally and save the district some money and save some time and look at that because it's not necessary. And the other way, we went the other way where we looked at something and said, hey, we really need more data to make educated decisions and pivoted. So I think that's critical to not just think you know how it's going to be. And even though, Bill, you've done millions of these assessments, everyone's a little bit different.
Oh, absolutely.
And you've worked with us to pivot and get the data that's right for us. And that's been critical to managing the overwhelming amount of data that we have to be able to use it towards creating projects and for the future. So.
Right. Yeah, I think that's, asset management is really about continuous improvement, right? It's not about set it and forget it and just do it one way and every, one size fits all. And so I think the approach of, let's continually reevaluate. Let's continually, we, like you said, we did the pilot that gave us a really great first opportunity to adjust. But I really like that, as you continue to go on, you're looking for, hey, how do we do things a little bit better? How do we line it up with how we're going to be in the best position to manage these data going forward? Because, again, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of disruption to come in and do this. So how do we maximize the value? How do you maximize, and how do we work with you to maximize that value over the long run throughout the life of this referendum, to the point where when the next one comes around, hopefully the trust level goes up even more based on what what you're able to do over the next 10 years, so that if it's still needed, and let's be honest, buildings continually age, right? And even when you deal with what's needed today, 10 years from now, something new is going to have aged out. So no, that's really a really smart approach to be always looking for how do we, make course corrections and get a little better. Anything more to add, Dave?
Well, and Bill, I was going to say, one of the other things is ironically a conversation that you and I have had relatively recently, was understanding the differentiations in the data that we're talking about. Yep. Some of you out listening to this podcast are kind of wondering, like, well, data's data. It's not. The reality is, Michael is in charge of the construction department for the school district, and he looks at things at a little bit more of a global perspective. It's a 10-year capital plan that we put together every year and update and constantly fine tune. But in order to get to that level, we have our operating budget is a $5.6 billion operating budget.
Wow.
So it's a lot to handle. You can only imagine the maintenance side of our world, our maintenance department. They are much more, as Bill, you like to refer to it, is much more granular in the details. Michael will talk about replacing 12 air handlers at a school. And Stacy will talk about, over our maintenance department, we'll talk about the details about replacing the blower wheel in one of the air handlers that has reached its life cycle, the end of its life cycle. There's a variation where we on the capital side think much bigger and have to, and then the fine-tuned details of what the maintenance folks deal with, and that often in our world, that is one of the big differences between the two groups. It's trying to get the two of them talk to each other and understand the differentiations. I don't need to worry about that, but I do. Okay, who's really important at what time? So.
Absolutely.
And that's probably another challenge to speak of while we're on the topic of, the two different departments working together and managing all that information. And we have different softwares that we use and getting those to integrate together so that they can talk with each other and use each other's data to be able to effectively work is a challenge. And we've had to do a lot of training with your group, Bill, and with other groups also about how you look at that information and how you use it and what our goals are. We have to continuously communicate and have regular meetings with each other to make sure that we can use that information effectively.
Well, it's interesting because, having just sort of come through we'll call it the spring conference season, the whole topic of the integration between capital and maintenance planning was something that I heard at many different conferences across many different sectors, not just K to 12, higher ed, healthcare, municipal and state government. Um, having one program inform the other and vice versa is something that I think a lot of people, I'm sure there's somebody out there that's got it down cold. I have yet to meet them yet. Everyone is struggling with, okay, we've got this. How do we bring those things together? So that's a challenge that I think will resonate with a lot of folks that are listening, because typically it's been two different departments on the same team, right? And I don't want to use the word silos, but sometimes they're silos. And so figuring out not only how to deal with it from a data perspective, but from a cultural perspective. And I don't know if Dave or Michael, there's been that behavior change. Have you seen, I mean, I know it's still early days and things like that, but how have you seen that, not just the differences in data, but the differences in behaviors and perspectives? How have you managed that?
Yeah, I think, Stacy's who's director of our maintenance and plant operations, we're like brother and sister, where we fight it out. And then when we can't come to an agreement, Dave steps in as the father figure there and says, this is how we're going to do it. But it's all understood that we all have the same goals and same objectives. It's just how we get it done. So it makes it fun, and we do work really well together as a team.
It's not uncommon, as Michael's saying. For those that are watching, listening out there, it is if you're not having healthy debates between the construction department and the maintenance department, maybe something's going on differently. Because the reality is, everybody's perspective is their own. I'm the most important cog in my wheel, right? If I'm the maintenance team, I feel like you're doing that work so that I can run this building for the next 50 years. So it needs to be the way I need to be. And the capital side is saying, listen, I have a limited amount of money. I have to pull off a magic trick with the amount of money that I have to get you what you need and still have a functional, useful facility. Those are two diametrically opposed perspectives, and can often breed a little bit of contempt. And that's part of the challenge. Now, the good news on our side, I look at our leadership at our district, and they are very much on the same page. And I seen the rank and file members recognize how well the leaders from both sides work together, and it has filtered down. So where they do recognize those guys got a job too, I got to do my job. So I feel like that's a good way, a healthy way to make sure that you establish that better culture.
Yeah. Well, I think Michael, I think what you said about, we both share the same vision, right? I think that's so critical, right? Because it's one team. It's the school district of Palm Beach County, the organization, the goals, the objectives, they're all the same. You're playing a different role in it. And the fact that that's recognized throughout the organization is a huge benefit, because that's in my experience, the first thing that breaks down barriers is that shared vision and goals. And the second thing, Dave, is what you said, is that leadership buy-in and everybody's on board. And it's, I go into a lot of organizations, it's like, yeah, we'll talk when Joe retires, right? And, Joe's got 3 years left and we're not going to change Joe. So we're just going to wait Joe out, right? Which, okay. But for the next 3 years until Joe retires, and sorry to all the Joes out there, but
so my boss is Joe, right? We're not.
I'm sorry.
Right?
I should have said Bill. But that's great that it's both at the grassroots level, the shared vision and the leadership. So gentlemen, we've talked a lot about kind of today and the recent past. Let's turn our attention to the future, and I'd love to get your thoughts and ideas on where you see facility and asset management changing and evolving over the next 5 to 10 years, both within the school district of Palm Beach County context, but just, the industry or the sector as a whole. And I'll throw it out to whoever wants to go first on this one.
Going to let Michael take that one.
I'll start. So I guess, as not just in our industry, but across the globe, AI is becoming so prevalent. And I think in our industry it can be really, really useful in predicting how long components can last, because that's really the basis of what we do is how long is our roof going to last? How long is our air handlers going to last? And the more data that we have and the bandwidth to be able to evaluate that data, the better decisions we can make. And in doing so, we're more fiscally responsible with the money, right? That we can make it go farther and last longer and cost the taxpayers less money. And I think that's going to be more and more prevalent. The trends are everybody's got, shrinking budgets and limited funds to do more work than they have funds for. So the more efficient you can be, the farther you can spread that money. And I just think AI is going to be a tool that's going to be not just in the background, kind of like it is now, but really prevalent in everything we do to help make some of those predictions in how we operate.
Well, and KPIs as well, Bill. Key performance indicators. Back in the day, for old people like me who have a lot of gray hair, data really wasn't that big of a deal. Now it's everything. And so recording everything, tracking everything, seeing how you're performing, how you're getting better. So it's not only did our device, did our air conditioning unit, did our air handler, did it break this year? No.
Right.
But is it performing to its optimum level of performance? That's where I think a lot of this is going to end up heading. And I think, again, saying that data is everything. It is very important because it will help us translate to, that's where I think the AI will play a big role too, is trying to see those trends before regular boring eyes get to see them. That computer data evaluation is going to make a huge difference.
And, we just ran into an issue with some light fixtures across the district, and we're still trying to troubleshoot and figure out what's going on. But I can see in the future how this would be a non-issue if I kind of project ahead. So we had one school install some LED light fixtures, and they started to fail. They were flickering and turning off, and immediately you have different parties. You have the designer, you have the electrician installer, you have the controls person, you have the manufacturer, right? Yeah. So everybody initially pointed at the controls guy and said, "Hey, you messed up. Go fix the controls." And then he added one to it, and he said, "Well, I think it's a power source issue. Let's talk to the power company. I think we're having some surges." And we looked into that, and then it started happening at multiple schools. So we said, okay, it must be the fixtures themselves. And we started doing some manual research. We have to, pull the plans of this school, pull the plans of that school, what fixtures were used. And we're like, there's some similarities here, but they're not the same fixture. So maybe it's not the fixture. And we're going round and round in circles. And I could see in the future, some of the component that was failing in most cases was a similar component in multiple manufacturers.
Oh, interesting.
So getting down to the granular level of knowing what components went to this lighting company, but also went to this other lighting company, and that's the source of failure. Then if we had that data up front, then we could have connected the dots a lot quicker. So I really think that having that data at your fingertips could really take some time off of troubleshooting problems and saving money.
Yeah, I mean, imagine, for sure. A properly trained AI would have been able to probably look at that in, like that instead of, I'm sure it took you guys probably weeks or months of a lot of different people in a lot of different places poking around at it. So cool. Any other predictions of the future? Oh, sorry, Dave, go ahead.
Is our ability to have trained staff. Because back in the day, and I'm sure it's all around the country, back in the day, you used to have a maintenance department that was hundreds, thousands of people, plenty of air conditioning techs, electricians and carpenters and whatnot. Nowadays, the trades have really fallen off. So we are not any different than many other districts and other government entities. We're forced to outsource to consultants, and when you do that, you have less oversight, less on the ground observation of what's really happening in your facilities. And I feel like that's one of the trends that will not change. We are going to continue to lose the ability to have a person to know the details of what's going on in a school. That's where those indicators, that's where those critical data points are going to become vital. Where, as Michael said, the trends of AI, where they'll be able to tell you, instead of saying, well, this part or this unit is going to fail in year 5, they'll probably be able to get to the point where it's going to say it's going to fail in year 4, month 7 or 8. Once you start getting into that level of detail, your job becomes a lot easier. Replacement becomes easier rather than the crisis management of a failure of a part.
Absolutely.
I think Dave touched on the one item that I wanted to stress is that the FCA study, the in-person study, is becoming more and more critical because we've seen it. We talked to some school districts that do one every year. They go and because you can't get everything from data, right? Sometimes you have to physically look at the stuff and touch it and feel it and talk to the maintenance
even listen
staff.
to it, right? Like some stuff you got to listen to too, right? Yeah.
Listen to it, and the person that lives in that school every day knows, oh, this boiler acts up. I know that to be the case. So that there's you get a ton of data together, but I think that in-person study is so critical to really understanding what you have, and I think that trend's going to continue as well. And between the two, hopefully you can make some really good decisions.
It's interesting, right? One of the best lines I heard about AI is that AI is not going to replace you, but a human using AI will replace you if you don't use AI.
Stay on.
And I think that's exactly the point that you were making there, Michael, is the convergence of human expertise, intuition, and abilities with the power of AI is where the real benefit is going to come in facility and asset management, but just in the broader scope of artificial intelligence and our eventual overlords. So, any other future predictions, gentlemen? Good. Yeah. Well, they say predicting the future is a fool's errand, right? But I think you guys are on the right track with the focus on both AI and the data and making better decisions, right? I think that's the ultimate goal is how do we use this to get better? And so
also, but I do want to stress for those that are watching and listening, if you haven't gotten here yet or you're working towards that, know that it's an arduous task, and there might be times when you feel frustrated and like, is it really worth it? What I've seen over the course of our several years of better data management, because we had an FCA, but it wasn't quite as in depth and thorough. It may seem like painful at the time of going through it, but really there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it will very likely translate into better performance and easier the next time. As Michael said, some school districts are doing this, every year or every couple of years. They don't work nearly as hard doing it the second, third, and fourth time. So long as you have a good system in place.
No, absolutely. You're right, Dave. The first time of going deep is always the hardest, and then as long as you keep that data up to date, it does. Yeah. The momentum wheel does start to spin. So, gentlemen, any last final comments for the audience before we let you go?
Other than thank you to the taxpayers of Palm Beach County for giving us our referendum so that we can have these exercises of maintaining these facilities and making sure our kids live and learn in a wonderful environment.
Yeah, if the taxpayers didn't support the referendum, we would not have the money to maintain our facilities. So it's really important to get that support. And we're really fortunate to have that. So.
That's awesome. Well, you thank them. I'm going to thank you guys both very much. As you said, you're the 10th largest school district in the country, and I appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedules to have a conversation, to tell your asset management story, and to share your ideas and your story with our audience. So, gentlemen, thank you both very much, and we'll chat with you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. That was a great discussion with Dave Dolan and Michael Tubiolo from the School District of Palm Beach County. They gave us an inside look at managing the district's 180 plus schools, a portfolio bigger than some cities. It was fascinating to hear how Dave's wide-ranging background helps him juggle both daily repairs and big construction projects, while Michael's transition from architect to owner's rep allows him to ensure that new buildings are practical and built to last. Both of them really showed how mission-driven facilities management can be. They're passionate about providing safe, modern schools so that every student can thrive. We appreciate Dave and Michael for sharing how they're making an impact in the School District of Palm Beach County and beyond. And thank you for listening to Telling Your Asset Management Story.